Hey guys, I'm going to talk about the Warriors of Chaos, and this is going to be my interpretation, my whole thoughts on the book. Things I like, things I don't like, that kind of thing. So right off the bat, I love the cover. It's real cool, and actually I like all the new hardback books. I really like a lot. Um, they It's not that the soft ones were bad or anything; they were great. But I really like the new hardback ones. You can kind of just open up your page, go like this. You're not even like you can just leave it open. Uh, Compared to the other older ones where you always had to open them up. You close them, you have to open them up. Anyway, and also there's a lot of cool artwork in these new ones. You get a lot of new kind of artwork rather than just the same repeating pictures over and over and over again in every army book. You get a real. It kind of gives it like a whole new feel, a whole new, almost like a whole new army. I mean, it is in a sense, but that's really cool. That's what we need. That's what we feed off of, that kind of stuff. So you actually feel like you get your money's worth out of it. So I'm going to start off with things I like in general with the new book. I like, besides the book, I like how characters are becoming more playable. And that goes for a lot of the new army books, but it seems like Chaos was always really kind of hindered by that. Now, granted, they always have always had awesome characters, no doubt about that. It just seems like finally they're sort of playable. You can kind of squeeze them into 2,400 points, 2,000 points, that kind of stuff. Rather than, for instance, like Archeon's like 580, I think, and you could squeeze them in a 2,400 game just on foot. 580, yeah. So that's pretty cool. Whereas before it was kind of like, I think he cost like, gosh, 855 or something, and then you had to bring his knights. Now I think it's optional. Um, but you had to bring his knights, and he'd be like, you know, God, I don't know, 1,100 points with that unit, and then I mean, who's gonna play a 4,000 whatever 300 400 point game just to squeeze them in? That's absurd. So I really like how they've gone that direction, and made a lot of these characters playable, um, which is great. Um, Speaking of characters, I'm really happy that they kept Throg and that they kept Kolek, and the reason why is because I love them both. Uh, Kolek's that kind of guy where it's like, and you, if you don't kill him in a challenge like on the first round, he's probably gonna smash you to death. Like, he's that good. Um, I mean, there's things you can do to kind of slow him down. What sucks is his initiative 1, so yeah, you could do that whole like, oh, take an initiative test, he's dead. But I always liked him a lot, and I'm kind of glad they kept him. And then Throg, of course, because Throg's amazing. I'm actually surprised he's not a lord. He's a hero. He has better than most lord stats, and what he does, just being able to bring trolls as troops, that's pretty crazy. I wish I could do it. I don't have $3,000 sitting around for a bunch of trolls, but it's a cool idea. The idea is there, and that's what's awesome. Um, so with that, let's talk about the variety that we have now. There are so many ways you can kind of go with warriors now. It's so fun, so awesome. It's almost like, I mean, there's so many new units. You could run a whole different, like, your army could just be all marauders. You could have like a whole warrior slash knight kind of army. You could have a whole monster mash, bunch of trolls, and you have like 4 different types of monstrous infantry in here, and then there's like 3 or 4 different monsters, or 5. I mean, there's so many, or more, because you could bring your mounts and stuff. So there's just so much. You could have a whole chariot army. Um, so the variety is just tremendous, and that is great for the game, and it's great for players that play this kind of army. And it's good in a way too, because it's almost like they sort of make them, in my mind, they're kind of like orcs and goblins in Empire, in the sense of like when you play those armies, you have ideas. You might know this, like you know what the squads are, the units and all that, but you don't really know what they're gonna bring. There's just so much, and I wouldn't really classify them on that kind of level, but at the same time, you know, you're gonna see a lot of different types of units, and a lot of different types of styles of and within the army, and that again is fantastic. um, what else I want to talk about? So I love all the new units. There's so many new units. Like I said, it's almost like kind of like the kind of like in 40K, like when the Tyranids came out and the Necrons came out, they like doubled the whole army. It's sort of like that. There's just so much. And on top of it, let's talk about mounts. There's so many new types of mounts. Um, I mean, most armies have like 3 mounts. You know, you have like, or 4, maybe like a horse, a chariot, a griffin, maybe a dragon, and that's about it. You know, Chaos has so much. You have, you know, your horses, you have whatever your demonic mount is based off of like what your demonic mark is. You have chariots, you have war shrines, you have Gorby's chariots, you have manticores, you have dragons. So there's so much you can put your lord, your hero, your wizard on, um, and that's just so cool. It gives you so much variety. You can kind of really build your guy how you want him, which is awesome. Um, let's talk about. Uh, I like how they still kept the 3 lores. I mean, you obviously they I think they wouldn't have taken them out, but it's cool that they all have, you know, like you have the lore of Slaanesh, you have the lore of Nurgle, you have the lore of Tzeentch. So it's really cool that they kind of kept all 3 in there, all new like spells and all that. Really cool stuff. Each with their own lore attributes, which I might as well talk on it. You know, I really like. They all have good spells within them, and they all work together really well. There's certain nasty things you can kind of combine with each one. Um, you know, you like for instance, you can give hysterical frenzy, for instance, from Slaanesh. Basically, you can augment your a unit of yours or the opponent's, but we'll just say you do it to yours. You have frenzy. Okay, great. That squad has frenzy. That's amazing. Now, if they have frenzy, they get 2 attacks instead of 1. So that would be good on like corn. That'd be great. And then you could do other things. Well, I'm not going to talk about all about it. I'd spend too long. But the idea is you can kind of like mix and match and work, in synergy with each other and be really good at it. Now, if I pick a lore, I like Nurgle. I've read through all of them. There's, like I said, there's certain spells I like from each one, like Gleam Magic, I just love. But I really like Nurgle. The whole, all of them are really good. They all are awesome spells. And then the attribute is just, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you probably won't get it that often, maybe like once a game, if you're really lucky 2 or 3 times. But the idea of like, you increase your wounds when you get a 6, and your toughness for the rest of the game. That's awesome. Something like Festus, for instance, he only has 2 wounds. You roll that once, you get that, and now he has 3 wounds, for instance, and he's basically a lord. Great. Or if you have a Demon Prince of Nurgle, you get that one time. Now he's like almost a greater demon stats. That's awesome. Um, Tzeentch is pretty good. Slaanesh is good. It's one of those things where it's almost like I could see this being really nice on a Demon Prince kind of thing. Uh, Basically, if you get a 6, your weapon skill initiative attacks are increased by 1 until your next magic phase. Which is, again, nice it's nice, but it's at the same time, it's like, this is your wizard. Usually with your wizard, you don't want to get in combat. I mean, I know I said Demon Prince, so obviously they can smash a lot, but the idea of being a wizard is you kind of just you sit back, you cast your spells, you support your stuff, you do death. That's the idea behind it. All right, well, let's just keep moving on. But I do love Nurgle. Like I said, all 6 spells are really good. They all are awesome stuff. Really cool things you could do with them. Um, I'm glad they kept the Eye of the Gods. I'm glad they kept the Chaos Mutations, which I think were like in the old book were like demonic gifts. I think that I think is pretty cool. There's a lot of good ones in there, and I recommend for you people starting off, get yourself a spawn. Even if if you don't have one, get yourself